Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 11th episode of Oakland Tobacconist Live. And thank you for joining us tonight. I'm very excited about our guest. In fact, if you hear the name Cigar Review, he's almost synonymous with that title, and I'm very excited to have him on. Also, with today, if you're smoking anything, if you're drinking anything to pair it with, go ahead and drop that inside the comments. Let us know what you're smoking. Let us know what you're having to pair with it. Always great to hear what you guys are enjoying. And tonight we are featuring an amazing sampler pack. I'm really excited about this one. It is the first quarter into the year of 2021. And with having the first quarter, we are offering a springtime signature sampler. The purpose of this is to sort of illustrate what we have in the humidor, what you can kind of find, some of the boutique blends. If perhaps some of you had seen the video we had done previously about explaining what the sampler is, you might have an inkling about what that is. But to do so, we have an amazing lineup right here. Don't know if you can see it too well, but it goes from mild to medium to full. Starting with the Liga Zebra, the only barber pole that we have in our humidor, and one of our most popular cigars by far with inside of it. So it's a banana nut creaminess, really great. Also, the Trail Mix from the LCA. LCA is a subsidiary of Privada Cigar Club. This is one of the most complex cigars. It will transition many times as you smoke it. Really phenomenal cigar, and also sort of difficult to find. We also have our own Iron Horse, which is Cedar Car Cigars, our signature, one of our signature blends, Corojo 99, and then the Dapper cigar, which I am actually going to be smoking tonight. This is the Borracho Broadleaf. Phenomenal cigar. I absolutely love this one. And finally, one of the strongest we have, the Brimstone from Southern Draw. So that is available on the link. If you would like to pick up this sampler pack, click on the link in this video. It'll direct you to our website. You can go and pick it up then. We will get it shipped out to you so you can enjoy it very shortly. Now, without further ado, as I say, I'm going to be smoking the El Borracho Box Press Broadleaf. I'm a huge fan of Broadleaf, and this cigar does not disappoint at all. It's very chocolatey, very creamy. It's phenomenal. But I'm not going to go on too long. We're going to get this cut. We're going to get this lit. Again, drop your comments down. If you have any questions for Mr. Glynn, then go ahead and drop them in the comments. I'll go ahead and pull that, and I'll go ahead and try to get that going. We have Matt here actually in the studio smoking a Perdomo 10th Anniversary Maduro and Knob Creek. Very good cigar. Chip, how's it going? Smoking a Drew Estate Shady X Dr. Pepper Cream Soda. I see you took the recommendation from Tim. Let me know how that's pairing up. Really excited to use this new lighter. It's a single point precision. So we're going to go ahead and light this up. Tonight, as usual, I'll probably be pairing it with a bit of bourbon. It's kind of my signature go-to. Scotch is also very good. But if you have not had a chance to try this Borracho, it is phenomenal, especially if you enjoy Maduro cigars. And it is included in the sampler pack. I'm very excited about the sampler pack. It does a good job of representing what we have in our humidor. Awesome. Hello from Miami. Well, hello from California. So without further ado, we got this lit. We're going to ask Mr. Glynn to join us. So if you can please help me welcome Mr. Glynn to Oakland Tobacconist Live. Hello, how's it going?
Hello, Eric and OGT crew. I notice you actually have a freaking production crew. That's awesome.
Yeah, to some degree. It's a work in progress right now.
Well, you're more than a one-man band, so hats off.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, I want to thank you for joining us on our show. We are somewhat of a smaller operation, and I have to tell you, I've gotten into cigars over the last decade, but you were one of the first resources I went to when getting into the world of cigars, your reviews and your presence here on YouTube. So I'm really honored to actually have you join me on my YouTube channel.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here.
Awesome. And what are you smoking tonight?
I got a collection of stuff out here. I got some stuff that just came in from JC Newman, trying their new Havana Q right now. I just got them literally the other day, so they're a little over humidified. I got to stand by here though. I'm going to probably light up this Wise Man Maduro pretty soon.
Okay, nice. We have John smoking an LFD Lennox with a Stella Artois, I believe. Awesome. So what I've kind of told a lot of our guys here in the shop, that if it's a cigar that you're curious about, wondering how it smokes, if you YouTube that cigar, more than likely Cigar Obsession will come up. And it's a phenomenal resource to have. So really, what got you into kind of the smoking cigars on the normal and then later into the reviewing side of it?
Well, started when I was 18. I had my first cigar. And for those that are coming over from my channel, you've probably heard this story before, but I was out with my friends and we were shooting pool in Canton, Michigan after work. And there was a little cigar shop, just a strip mall cigar shop next door. And some other guys were smoking while they were playing pool. And we're like, man, that smells really good. We should try it. Okay. So we head on over next door, and none of us knew anything, never even looked at cigars before. And basically told the guy that, and he gave us all something. I know it was a Connecticut something. I have no idea. He cut them. We somehow lit them, and I'm sure smoked them completely wrong, but really enjoyed them. So that kind of lit the fire. I was already, unfortunately, since 14, a cigarette smoker. And I didn't really seriously get into cigars until later on, because number one, they were expensive. Back then, packs of cigarettes were like $1.10, $1.20 for normal name brand. So I'm dating myself. It's a long time ago. So I quit cigarettes many years ago. And then, of course, I didn't replace cigarettes with cigars. They were always, same time in my little circle. But got into cigars more as a pleasure thing as I got older, got disposable income, got more friends, had a neighbor across the street, a couple of them actually that were into cigars, so we would have cigar night sometimes. Anyway, it became more of a social thing. And then I started, doing things at home, like having a humidor and buying bundles, usually, very occasionally a box. There were a few cigars that at the time I really loved, and I would buy by the box. I moved down to Florida in '99, so I had, the boomtown of golden age of cigars right here. And I used to shop at Thompson's a lot because they're fairly close, and they always had insane sales. So, I would do that. And then it just grew and grew into more of an interest. And I started my photography business years ago also, just still photography. One of my friends started getting into YouTube, and he started doing tech stuff, phone stuff and tablet stuff and Apple stuff and all that kind of good stuff. I'd never done any kind of video, and I just wanted to learn how to edit video. I wanted to play with, it was Sony Vegas at the time. And I just needed some footage. So I'm like, well, what can I shoot a video about? I got lots of cigars. Okay, I'll review cigars. I didn't even know the online cigar thing was a thing. I didn't even know there were cigar videos out there. I wasn't tuned in at all beyond getting the Thompson flyer in the mail, right? Twofold, I started doing it just to learn how to edit videos, and also I started a WordPress site just as a way to remember what different cigars tasted like, so I could figure out what I could buy by the box and save some money. So that, it wasn't even published, it wasn't public or anything like that. And then I started putting them out after my friend started having good luck. Check out his channel if you're into phones or anything like that. Zolotech. He's got like, I don't know, 600,000 subs now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, awesome work there. And it just took off. People started watching. So I'm like, oh, crap. So I took it more seriously and decided, that was the thing to do.
Yeah.
Over the years, just improved one thing at a time until it became my main gig. And I've actually been doing video work full-time for years now, and I haven't done still photography since we actually moved in here almost 3 years ago.
Oh, wow. Well, and it's funny because I with the journey of Cigar Obsession and where it is now, I also see like a bit of history of like your backyard coming together, your plants coming together. It's like a progressiveness, and it's a good illustration of even your channel, I believe, of kind of how you update and every time to what it is now.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've been pretty stable the last couple of years, but during those early days, a lot changed every single year.
Yeah. So we got Matt saying that he watching right now. He's also a big follower of yours on YouTube.
Welcome.
And we have a Chip who's also a regular here and just wondering how you're doing with your accident. I understand there was a bit of an accident about 3 weeks ago.
A little bit. I'm actually 99% better.
Good.
All good. So I got the last final okay from my spine doctor the other day, and that's it. we're done.
And it was a motorcycle accident, or
No, it was a car accident.
okay.
Long story short, a guy pulled out in front of me, and I was doing 40 and T-boned him. So I broke
Oh.
4 vertebrae, my sternum, and 2 ribs, and took a while to recover. But
Well, it's good to see you back at it. So awesome. Congrats on that. Yeah. So I know there's a lot of people. I mean, like any industry, as more people start doing things and people have their own takes on it. Something I noticed right away with yours that I enjoy is that you explain what the cigar is, not only the title, but you have your name, the picture of the depiction of the wrapper leaf itself has a rustic look, this look, and such like that. Was that something that was influenced, or was this more of like, this is information I think other people would like to know? Like,
the way I go about conveying all of the information is simply what I noticed about cigars when I would go to purchase them. Not all of them have anything to do with what you're going to get out of the cigar, but it's obvious things. Like, I go into a shop and I look at the shelf and I notice the shades. I mean, it doesn't tell you anything specific about the cigars, but I notice if, wow, that one's almost pitch black. Wow, that one's got a nice red hue. So I mention it. You know, what it feels like, what it smells like. Those are just obvious things, especially if you buy the box. If you open a box, man, you're hit with that aroma of 20 of the same cigar. It's just an obvious thing. So I just kind of early on standardized what I was going to do just to be consistent, because I knew whatever I'm going to do, I want it to be a template. I want it to be consistent, and I knew it was going to be for years. So I refined that real fast. I got my workflow down. And I mean, I changed little things here and there. But the 4 photos that I take, those are standard photos that I would take for actual photography clients. I did a lot of cigar work over the years for catalogs and websites.
okay.
So, you know, I just standardized on a template, just happened to be what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. We got John saying that he's been a smoker of cigars for many years, and Bryan has taught me so much about every aspect of the cigar.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think that it's your channel. What I enjoy about it is one is don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
It can appear a certain way. You can think, oh, that's really dark. That's going to be really strong. But there's many aspects to the cigar, and also just the education behind it. Now, when you started smoking, I would assume that education to the consumer, education of the cigar, was not readily available as much as it is now. So, would you agree with that, or would you say no?
Definitely. At least not consistent information. Back when I started,
yeah,
there were Stogie Review, I think, would be the #1 as far as popular resource of information out there at the time. I'm talking, 11, 12 years ago.
Okay.
And of course, there was Cigar Aficionado in print form, definitely the only game in town for magazines at the time. And then you had a lot of store catalogs, and that was pretty much it.
Okay. So did you pick up from what you could from those resources, or did you have to start hunting down like actual true information, or what was that journey like?
Well, I didn't use anything else simply because what I'm conveying, I'm trying to take out the subjectivity of it. So I don't give any kind of ratings. I very rarely say, I love this cigar or I hate this cigar.
Yeah.
I want people to, if they can, identify with my taste, my palate, or at least somebody else, and make up their own mind about, okay, those sound like flavors I could get into, or, thanks for letting me know I don't like that kind of cigar. But everything else, it's something that anybody can do. Mm-hmm. It's just the information that's there all rolled into the cigar. You just have to pull it out. Yeah.
Okay. And when Aficionado came out, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that was 92.
Somewhere around there.
And were you did you read much of Aficionado, or was it something you kind of just knew about? Like,
I would just pick it up if I'm in a lounge, because they were, all over every seat and table at the time, but I didn't subscribe.
Gotcha. And in your area, are there shops that you frequent on the normal? Like, are you normally in cigar shops?
Not for a long time, simply because I have thousands of cigars, manufacturers and stores are constantly sending me cigars, and they have for years. So I haven't had to buy my supply in a long time.
Gotcha.
But I go to shops if I'm meeting. Obviously, in the past year, it hasn't happened, but usually viewers would want to get together if they're in Tampa or whatever, and I would go to Cigar Castle and meet them. That's a really nice lounge we have, and we'll hang out there. And that'll probably change to the new Cigars International Lounge they just built, which is a lot closer. But that's when I would go to lounges, is to meet people, hang out, go to events if there's a manufacturer in town, and we want to hang out, something like that.
Awesome. And within your journey of reviewing cigars, I see a lot of different manufacturers that you're reviewing and such like that. Those relationships, were those something that you were able to reach out to them, or is it vice versa? They reach out to you? Like, how did some of those relationships build?
They've always reached out to me. I've never asked anyone for anything. I've always used my own supply. And during the early years, I would have some viewers send in cigars completely out of the blue. But it's always been, hey, if you want to send your stuff in, I'm more than happy to review it. But, I've never begged or asked or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And it's funny because, like I said, cigar reviews are kind of synonymous with Cigar Obsession. And at least as it's put, when you YouTube something, like if I'm curious about a particular cigar, your name will come up. And it's just really cool to see kind of that growth and that journey from where you started and now to where it is now. I mean, you even got your own brand and such like that. It's an awesome thing to see. Yeah.
Some days I wish I could delete like the first 50%. They're so horrible in comparison.
Well, and I mean, I imagine too, like it's a big learning process from going from shooting photography stills to video. Was that much of a struggle in the beginning?
I would say about 75% of it carries over. I mean, all the technical aspects, the lighting, the production, it's a shift in software, but it's the same things you're doing. It's just different buttons you're pushing. The audio was a bit of a challenge. I've gone through different microphone setups and had to overcome different challenges over the year for that. But it's really simple stuff. I shoot on Panasonic gear, and it serves me very well for both still photo and video. So it's really not that big of a deal. If you're a skilled still photographer, video is just a little bit of learning curve.
Gotcha. Now, with the cigar industry ever changing and going into different regions, I mean, we have Dominican, we have Nicaraguan and such like that. Do you find yourself gravitating to any of those different countries, or are you kind of all over the map?
If I had to generalize, and believe me, it's a big generalization, I would say I'm a Nicaraguan fan.
Okay.
Simply because so many manufacturers have gravitated to the area, even if they're not producing Nicaraguan puros. They could be producing with Dominican and Honduran tobacco, Cuban, who knows, whatever. But all the great factories are centered. I mean, there are some great ones in Dominican also, and a couple in Honduras. But for the most part, everyone's gravitated to Nicaragua over the last decade. So, it's hard to answer a question like that unless you're talking Dominican versus Nicaraguan puro, something like that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It would definitely be Nicaraguan if that were the case also.
Okay. And in your time, because I know, I mean, it's the endless debate, especially online, about Cuban cigars and Nicaraguan cigars. Would you mind if I asked your opinion on the Cuban market and how Cuban cigars are presented now?
Well, I think the market is shifting. Now, I've only been into Cuban cigars for the last year, seriously, as in I've smoked through, 60, 70-ish different Cubans, multiples of them. So I have a good taste now for the industry as a whole. Haven't smoked them all, but a significant percentage, let me put it that way. But I wasn't into them prior to that, other than the very occasional one gifted by someone, or if I was in Canada or on vacation, something like that. So I can't give a direct comparison to how it's changed, but I can tell you that I hear all the time from the typical Cuban cigar smokers that their taste is changing, and so many of them now have easier access to non-Cubans, talking overseas people and Canadian. and they're really shifting over to the different options that are out there rather than the traditional milder Cuban blends, we'll say.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, I know a lot of people, and I kind of fall in this camp of a lot of Cubans like push forward, or people wanting Cubans is somewhat to do with mystique of I want it because I can't have it.
FOMO is very real in all industries. Absolutely. I mean, you can say the same thing about whatever wins the Cigar Aficionado #1 of the year. It could be a complete dog rocket, but because it's #1, you go on any online group, tons of people, I got to get it, got to have it.
Right. Yeah.
Same thing with Cubans. Even if it could be a great Cuban, it could be a dog rocket. Got to have it. Absolutely.
Right. And I remember watching or hearing a podcast with several other manufacturers saying what if the embargo was ever lifted? Do you see a shift in the USA market as far as Cubans and Nicaraguans? Because I know Nicaraguan and Dominican, you don't see much of a shift happening.
I don't think it's ever going to be physically possible. They can't make enough now. If the U.S. market ever opened, the Cuban production, I mean, it would be like the end of the boom here in the 90s. The quality would instantly plummet. They would be using every scrap they could possibly get. Reputations would be ruined. We've been there, done that. We know what would happen. There's no way that would work. I mean, the best thing that could happen is you couldn't get them because they would be sold out.
Yeah. Right. Okay. We got a question from Jay asking, Bryan, how do you feel about reviewers that try to copy your style? Do you see it as a compliment, or does it not really register or bother you?
I don't think anything of it anymore. It's been happening for many years, and it'll continue. Every single year, there's 20 new reviewers that pop up, and usually 19 are gone within the first few months when they realize, hey, I'm not getting rich. And they'll do 5 reviews a day for a month, and then they're gone.
Right.
Yeah, I see them copying the way I shoot, copying my catchphrases. Let's get it up and start toasting. How many people have you heard say that?
Right.
It is what it is. It's the world.
Yeah. No, I got you. Well, and I will say one of the most influential reviews that I had watched when I was learning more about cigars and trying to kind of refine my palate and buy more was actually your review on the Prometheus lighter, the Magma Jet. Phenomenal lighter. And exactly. I've never seen it anywhere.
It is a great lighter when it works. I have to give that caveat. Luckily, both of mine work. But yeah, unfortunately, they've never updated the design. Prior to COVID, they were coming out with a successor, and they never did. So I don't know if that was the reason why or what. But yeah, when you get one that works, man, this is just phenomenal. I love this thing. And even though you are rolling the dice when you buy one, it's easily fixable. So it's not that big of a deal when you get a dud. And I still recommend it to people.
Okay.
And I don't think that's not any kind of commission or plug.
No,
great lighter. I love it.
So we got 2 questions. One is from actually here in the studio. How many cigars would you say you smoke until you think your palate is not as fresh as where it should be? Do you think that affects the palate?
Oh, yeah. That's a good question. I'm going to have to think about the days that I've been burnt out. And usually that's on a cigar trip, which it's been a while.
Okay.
Or you know what? Even events like Great Smoke, Barn Smokers. Hard to put a number on it, but somewhere after 5 or 6, I'll notice that they're kind of starting to taste the same.
Okay.
And I'm just smoking for effect or having conversation and not paying attention to it at all. It's somewhere around there for me at least.
Okay.
Now, I know some guys, some manufacturers especially, they're smoking from the time they get up to the time they go to sleep.
Right.
And it's 10 or 12 and they're still no problem. So everybody's different.
Right. We interviewed Paul Stulak. I don't know if you've tried Stulak cigars. We carry his El Nuevo Comienzo. Really good cigar. But he says he smokes 10 cigars a day, and I was like, wow, that's quite a bit. So do you, when you're tasting a cigar, do you have a preference inside, outside? Do you think it matters?
I think it matters if the inside doesn't have really good ventilation. That's the only time I notice a difference. Luckily, most of the lounges around here have really good ventilation, and it's evacuated quickly, and it's basically like smoking outside. So you're just tasting your own smoke, and you're fine. I have been to some around here, especially when they're crowded, where, I mean, you can see, you're sitting in a chair and you see the level of smoke. Like, oh, I made the mistake one time. I usually ride my motorcycle to those things, and I brought my helmet inside and I just set it on the ground. The thing reeked of smoke for weeks because the foam and the liner absorbed it. I didn't even think about it. I mean, just total brain fart. And it was super smoky in there. No ventilation, smaller shop, and I hate that. I mean, my clothes reek. If I get into my car would reek. And you're tasting that smoke in the room. It's affecting what you're getting. So it absolutely makes a difference, at least to me.
Okay. Yeah, no, definitely. We've got a question from Chip. What do you have other reviewers that you enjoy watching? Have you ever really gone to the check out other reviewers and saying, hey, I like this style or anything like that?
I have friends in the industry, like Coop, and I absolutely enjoy their shows. I don't watch anybody regularly, and I never watch reviews of cigars themselves, so I don't have any preconceived notions in my head, even subconsciously. I don't read reviews. I don't even read the marketing blurbs on a store website. When I actually go to do a review, I'll Google the cigar, and I'll go to a store, don't really care which one, just to get the proper name and verify the proper size, copy and paste that into my blog and my video title and all that. But I don't even look at any other information.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and I mean, right now we're a fairly young shop. We're going to be hitting 2 years this summer. And so most of the stuff that we have in our humidor are more boutique blends. It kind of started out with a little bit of heritage, a little bit of boutique, but then a lot of the kind of local customer palate, and myself as well, has kind of gone to that boutique side. And one of the sampler pack we're actually offering tonight is our springtime signature. It's 5 different cigars, one of which is the Borracho from Dapper I'm smoking. Phenomenal cigars. And if you click on the link, that'll direct you to our website where you can pick it up. It's a really good example of boutique cigars, boutique blends, and what they have to offer. And a question I would have for you with that is, have you noticed a lot of new boutiques coming out? And how do you think that's kind of affected where it was with having more heritage and traditional brands?
Well, I think the last year put a damper on a lot of what was going on, but thinking back to a year ago, there was definitely a ramp up in cigars, especially with all the FDA stuff kind of looking like it was going to go away, or for the most part go away, especially with the new blend rules. We still don't know what's going to go on, but most manufacturers that are still in production have taken the assumption that we're good. So they're still innovating, they're still coming out with new blends and all that kind of good stuff. And I think there's definitely still a real strong push for new boutiques to come out, which is good. And I don't think they're pulling any kind of market share from the big guys. I think it's consumer tastes that are changing, which is affecting the big guys. Now, thinking back, the last stats I saw, it was probably 7 or 8 years ago, where General Cigar, I think they had 70% of the entire cigar world market. And that was down into the 40s the last time I saw. I think that's simply because the brands that they're carrying didn't really come out with anything new. So the new generation of smokers didn't like what the older generation of smokers like. But I don't think it's because new companies came up and stole the customers. I think the new customers coming in are just different.
Well, I mean, it's kind of, I think that more education, more things that what you're doing is benefits the consumer, more figuring out this cigar has this. And I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. We recently opened up an account with EP Carrillo, and we're
Yep.
bringing in is some of his cigars. And
Good.
one of the boxes that I chose was the Elite Oscuro that you just reviewed.
Oh yeah.
I was like, honestly, from what you say, it sounds like it'd be right up our palate. So I was like, throw a box on there. We'll get it inside the humidor. And it's that kind of education. It's knowing more that really benefits. And would you say that's a kind of affected why we see more boutiques in kind of like the recent years?
Not because of me specifically, but because there is so much better, easier media access for people to view. Yes, absolutely. I mean, 10 years ago, you didn't have 50 different YouTube channels putting out cigar reviews. You didn't have 100 different vloggers and bloggers putting out cigar information. So it brings much cheaper, easier marketing for all the little guys. You no longer have to spend 50 grand a year on a couple of print ads.
Right.
You can just send out some cigars.
Right. We got Jim Dougherty. Sorry, I saw this a bit late, but Kyle from Warped. I believe you've tried Warped cigars before.
Oh, yeah.
Says when he's tasting blends and trying new things to refine his palate, he actually drinks sparkling water. So I know there's different ways to cleanse the palate. We are part of. You're familiar with Bravada Cigar Club. We're part of the LCA, which the LCA has been releasing once a month. We get the rare cigar in our sampler pack. We have the trail mix that's included in there. If you don't mind me asking, what were your thoughts on the Cigaban cigar that was released a couple months ago? Blue label, the Cigaban.
I don't think I tried it. Did I? Unless I showed it on video, I haven't tried it yet.
Okay. But I think you've tried the Comienzo. Have you tried the trail mix cigar?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay.
I mean, I have a pretty bad memory. It's kind of why I started the website. But I might recognize the band, but it doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. Well, and the LCA is done quite a bit as far as like partnering with brick and mortar shops, getting more rare cigars in there. And Bryan has been really supportive. We interviewed him as well, but it's another one of those things of a cigar is more of an experience, and the more education that you have behind it, the better you are to understand what you're tasting. I know some people really get into the refined. Oh, this is a cedar spill dipped in cherry cough syrup, sprinkled with chocolate, and
moss growing on the left side in autumn on a Thursday.
So are you where do you lie on that side? Do you tend to go that far? Are you somewhere in the middle, or?
I taste exactly what I say. I know what you're talking about, and I see that in other industries as well, like whiskey. And I don't know. I see both sides of it, especially on the whiskey side. There are guys like Ralphie that pull out all kinds of very specific, unique flavors that I have never pinpointed in the whiskeys, even though I haven't been able to try most of what he's trying. On the occasions I have, it's like, even with him saying something very strange, I just don't get it. So it could be me, or it could be a very imaginative review. And having had literally tens of thousands of cigars under my belt with several thousand different cigars, I can tell you that most of those that you see with those exorbitant descriptions, in my opinion, are bullshit. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it can only go so far sometimes. But I mean, and I definitely see what you're saying on that. I've seen you review, let's say, like a Padron 64. And then I've seen you review it in like the Toro, and then in the Robusto size. And I've heard manufacturers talk multiple times, sizes change blends, or every single size should be the exact same for that blend. Have you found that there's a difference for those, or it depends on manufacturer?
Oh, it completely depends on what the blender wants to do. Sometimes they will do a line where, say, there's 5 different sizes, and they will try to make them all taste the same. Usually, they're going to be around the same ring gauge, within 4 or 6, so it's easier to do so. And they'll be changing the length, Robusto, Toro, Churchill. If they're all 50 ring gauge, it's insanely simple to make them all taste exactly the same. You're just cutting it in the chopper to a different length. That's it.
Yeah.
But the blender can make them 3 completely different cigars if they so choose to do so. And some definitely do that. And there's no rule. So you don't know until you either try it or you've asked them and they told you.
Okay. Okay. Have you found smoke sizes that taste very different depending on the size?
Again, it depends on the cigar. Sometimes yes,
Okay.
sometimes they're exactly the same.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, with coming out of the year of 2020, I know there's a lot of speculation with where the industry is headed. There's somewhat of a cigar boom. Do you think there's going to be an issue of supply and demand going into year 2021, 2022? Do you see that happen?
I actually have no idea. I haven't heard anything either way from the farms or the production managers. I don't know if there's anything going on or not. I haven't heard a word about it.
Gotcha. We got a question. Bryan, what is your favorite way to transport cigars outside of the house? Do you have a portable humidor that you like?
I use a cigar caddy usually.
Okay.
One of those solid plastic cases, holds 5 to 10 cigars. If I'm going to meet somebody, I'll throw a bunch in there and, give some out, smoke a couple, and it holds my cutter, lighter, and everything I need. That's what I prefer.
Gotcha. And have you experienced, I know that there's also a debate of cigar mold and cigar plume. Mm-hmm. Have you experienced both? Do you think plume is an imaginary thing? Do you think it's an actual thing?
It is very much an actual thing. I have experienced it just twice, and both times they were aged for years and years. I think one was 8 and one was 9 years, and they were just sitting in a drawer in a humidor doing nothing. And I know what it looks like. Some manufacturers, some blenders, some master blenders will tell people or try to tell people that it's real, and people believe them or not, and that's going to be it. It's unfortunately one of those things where it takes so long to happen that the vast majority of people are never going to have it happen, so they think it's imaginary. But unfortunately, mold is very easy to happen, and there's all different kinds of mold and all different kinds of way it can look on a cigar or a band or a box, and I've seen that all. I haven't had it happen to me. Knock on wood, I've been storing my stuff right. But I've walked into major shops here and seen hundreds of boxes covered in mold, and it's they're telling people it's plume.
right no.
This is what propagates the BS, is just people that are authorities giving out such bad information and people just eating it up and passing it on to 100 more people.
Right.
I don't think we're ever going to put that one to rest just because plume is such a rare thing.
Gotcha. We got a question of what humidity do you like to store your cigars at?
Here in Land O'Lakes, Florida, it's usually very humid, and I only smoke outside here. And my cigars like low 60s. I'm usually, I set my humidor to 63, and it'll cycle between 61 and 64. So I use a big Reagan all-in-one unit, so it regulates itself. And before that, I was using cooladors, and I would use 65% Bovedas or heartfelt beads. So it would again be in the low to mid 60s, and that's always been great. And
gotcha.
It's everyone's situation is going to be different. You have to trial and error it and see if you need to adjust it. And just a few degrees can make a big difference. Like if I would go from 65 to 69, I would start to have some tunneling. I would start to have, some wrappers that don't like to burn very well. Wouldn't affect every cigar, but you'll tune into that.
Okay. Another question of, do you prefer a straight or V cut?
Usually a straight. I might be in the mood for a V, or if it's a, say, really large box press cigar, I'll probably V cut that, but usually straight.
Okay. And with being in the industry as you are, have you gone to any trade shows? Have you ever had any interest in going to trade shows?
Oh yeah. And I stopped going to Vegas years ago, just
Okay.
because it started costing me too much, a couple thousand out of my pocket just to be able to go.
Yeah.
And besides making some videos that I stopped making money on,
Yeah.
there wasn't much point. I was marketing for free, basically, for all the companies. But yeah, I've gone to Vegas several times. The show was in Orlando one year. That was great because I was close. And I've been to a bunch of factory tours and trips to Dominican Republic and Nicaragua and all that kind of good stuff.
Gotcha. Cool. And a question I normally ask a lot of the people that we interview is how many cigars on a daily basis would you say that you smoke?
On average, I don't know, hard to say. Some days it's none. Some days it's 5 or 6.
Okay.
Depends on if I'm doing a review or if I'm hanging out, or if it's the weekend. I don't really, I don't know, average during the week, maybe 1 to 2 a day.
Okay. Gotcha. And I know this might be a difficult question to answer because it's kind of like asking who's your favorite children. But do you have some favorite brands or favorite cigars that you find yourself going back to that you enjoy that kind of rise above on for your palate specifically?
Brand wise, it's probably always going to be Padron in general because I love dessert like flavors and they simply hit that out of the park. As far as specific sticks, just look at my past Cigar Obsession samplers, and you can see that on cigarobsession.com. And what I put in there are my favorite cigars. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not an exhaustive list, but it's a list.
Yeah. Okay. Got a question from Chip. I know that he said that you had mentioned it, but how is the Reagan humidor doing? Is it full? Does it hold up well? What would be your consensus on that unit?
Man, those things are phenomenal. I was kind of hesitant, being that it was $4,000, but I am so glad I did it. And I know I turned a ton of people onto them because in the CO fans group, there's a ton of people that have bought the sister units and they're just over the moon happy with them. But yeah, it's been absolutely perfect. You simply put water in it every month or two whenever it tells you it needs some, and it just sits there and everything is perfect every day. I absolutely love it. I never ever have to think about maintaining my cigars ever again. Right now, yeah, it's pretty freaking full, and because I haven't been able to have any HERFs, which was an easy way for me to dump inventory to get space back, a lot of my shelves are absolutely packed up to the next one. And it's to the point where it's taken me a little bit of time to dumpster dive to find cigars that I'm looking for in a review. But yeah, there's probably a good 3,000 in there right now.
Wow. And is it climate controlled or is it strict? Okay.
Does everything. Heats, cools, humidifies, circulates, does everything.
Because I remember a long time ago when I had first started getting into it, I had used I think it was a winter unit.
Yeah.
And the issue sometimes with those climate controls that like other friends would tell me or I experience is that your humidity tends to go up and down because of the compression of the unit itself. But I'm assuming you haven't really experienced that with the Reagan.
Well, the humidity system is so beefy, it overcomes the compressor drop instantly. So the fluctuation is so minimal, and I've got tons of Govee gauges in there to monitor, and it's got the displays and everything. It's not an issue.
Okay. Have you experienced in other models with that compression, that same type of thing where humidity spikes or it drops?
There's only one other unit that uses a compressor, and it's brand new from New Air. All the other ones are thermoelectric, and they don't drop the humidity, but a lot of them have an issue where they'll just cool all the time or overcool, and the temperature swings can be great, which absolutely can also affect, depending on what you're using for your humidity control, what your level is. A lot of people get those units, and I see this all the time. They'll be having problems stabilizing everything, and it's because there's just too much airspace. They might have bought a 300 unit and they only put 50 cigars in there, so it's full of air, and they're trying to work with 4 little Boveda packs. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
So with the thermoelectric units, the most important thing is fill it up and use a ton of Bovida packs if you've got a bunch of airspace. Because
Okay.
every time you open that door, guess what? You just exchanged all that air for what's in your room.
Right.
Those Bovida packs take time to, regulate it back.
Right.
Whereas the Reagan unit, it's literally a bucket of water with a big computer fan, and it's instant.
Right. Hey, what was the first humidor that you started on, like in the very beginning?
Thompson. Yeah,
Okay.
the old 1999 mail order deal where I got it's a nice, back in the day before they were all coming from China, it's a nice veneer rosewood type, 20 count humidor or whatever. And I use it for all my accessory storage right now. And that was my first one. I'll never get rid of it. Solid Spanish cedar. I mean, it works really well. And then I had a bunch of the Thompson again, Lucky Sevens they were called, and I loved those because they were made for singles, and you had 7 drawers, and they were great for holding singles. And it held like maybe 3 or 4 boxes worth, with some room in there for other stuff. And from there, I went to big Coleman 50 quart coolers, and I had 5 of those going at once at the peak.
Now, I think that was also is like when you're beginning out and you start smoking, storing, and like, hey, I want to buy a humidor. One of the biggest things that's out there is the wipe down method. Did you end up doing the wipe down method?
I've always done that.
Okay.
The important thing with that, and I did a horrible video years ago, one of my very first, on how to season a humidor, and I show wiping it down. The important thing with doing that is you don't get it sopping wet. You don't leave any kind of standing water. I just use a dish towel or a rag, whatever, and you wring it out, but you keep it wet. And you basically paint or stain the wood with water. And if you see liquid water in there, you sop it up. And I've never, knock on wood, had any problem with any kind of seal or warping or corners or anything doing that. I did all my shelves that way in my Reagan. I've done it to all the review units that come in, from New Air and Winter and all those. So, it's just about how you do it. But the wipe method is quick. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to do that. You can just put some bowls of water, close it up, wait a couple days, and you're done. It's just time.
Well, and I think you were one of the resources I first heard about heartfelt beads. How did you stumble across them?
I'm sure somebody back in the day just recommended them. I want to say it was on a forum. Back when there were forums. I can't remember which one it was, but I do remember somebody posting a link. And even back then, the guy's website was like 10 years out of date. It looked like, GeoCities. And I didn't have a great sales experience.
Okay.
But I got them and they worked. So I was happy. And as I would add storage units, I would buy more. And then I just kept getting complaints after complaints about, they're closed this week, or they're not responding to my emails, or I can't buy them, blah, 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 blah. So I just started recommending Bovida. They do the same thing.
Okay.
And, especially since you can easily recharge the Bovida. So, but heartfelt, I haven't had them since I got the Reagan. I gave all my heartfelt beads and Bovida packs away at a HERF, but they're great.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to thank you for being on our channel, Bryan. It's been awesome talking to you and hearing your opinions about the cigar industry and kind of the stuff coming out. With 2021 continuing, do you see things like HERFs and more like group settings and like trade shows coming back?
Oh, absolutely. I think the key is going to be the vaccination rate. Knock on wood, I'm scheduled for mine on Sunday, finally. And I think once we reach a certain point, as things loosen up around the country, just 2 days ago, our county lifted the mask mandate.
Okay.
And Florida never really shut down anyway, so our lounges have been open. I think gatherings are definitely going to be a thing very quickly.
Okay. Well, keep on doing what you're doing. Your reviews are great, and it's awesome to have you on our channel. So thank you for
having me.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing more cigars that you review and the more education that comes out of it.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks.